Afternoon. My name's Charlie Fletcher, and welcome to Gosport Spotlight. First of all, I used to be over on that side of the city, if you want, earlier on, doing some Gosport stories, interviews with Nick at the media space. This is essentially a pilot idea that we started to think about after the Gosport stories, where we just want to get more Gosport individuals, people who do stuff in Gosport, which is creative, musical, etc., and have a chat with them and just figure out what they do, why they're doing it, when they started doing it, all that sort of stuff. On the back of this, if anyone's interested in getting involved, where you've got a story and you're a creative and you're somebody who's got a story in Gosport, then please get in touch with Nick and the media space. I'm pretty sure all those details will be on the back of this podcast when we're finished. Yeah. So in the meantime, I'm going to introduce you to our first inaugural guest. This is Mr. Lee McConville.
Hello, sir.
Also known as Gleem. Hi, Gleem.
How art thou?
And Gleem, basically, we're just going to chat, and we just want to find out a little bit about you, your influences, where you came from, what you did, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. I've known, right, full disclosure, I've known Gleem for almost 20 years. We've worked together a lot, and he's got a fascinating story anyway. We're hopefully going to dig into some of it, but I think the first thing we need to do, is Cosmo all right? Yeah, he's fine. First thing we need to do is basically just get a little bit about you.
Yeah, I mean, first I've got to apologise to all middle-aged women 30 and above. I'm being 100% serious. The milk tray man did let himself go. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Inflation causes deflation. Anyway, so I am Gleem. My nickname, my stage name, and I am heavily involved in the gospel music industry, or should I say scene?
Yep.
Yeah, there's industry, yeah.
We'll get onto that, believe me.
Yeah. And yeah, I've been doing music since I was 15, so we're talking nearly 30 years, more than, and been involved in youth services in as much as a charity providing music services to young people at youth clubs all around Hampshire. Really, been working with you, Charlie, up at schools. We went around for 10 years, let's say, and it's still operating now, working for a charity, teaching young people how to do music. And my specific niche is vocals, rapping. Reggae singing is my ultimate passion. However, it's very limited. Down here in Hampshire, there is a reggae scene. However, it's very limited, so you have to broaden your horizons, they say.
I would definitely get you to check him out. When I first met you, yeah, that sort of reggaeton sort of stuff that you do, and there's not many people that do it down in Gosport, and you're well known for it. You can check them out, by the way, just Gleem UK.
Gleemmusic.co.uk or Gleem Music on every platform, Gleem on YouTube. I've got a PowerPoint there that you can put up at the end that gives all the links to the music as well. Hey,
right, let's get into this. Background. So, this is an interesting one. Was there a moment or a sort of happy accident, and I got asked this before, that sort of got you into music? And when I was asked this, I couldn't remember when I didn't want to do music, but I'm going to let you try.
I'd say it's exactly that. It was inbred from birth to like music regardless. My dad's heavily into Motown, soul. Put it this way, Sam Cooke is my favourite singer because of my father. My father must have been playing it while I was in the womb with my mum. And I've just...
What's your favourite Sam Cooke song?
See, there's one called Comes Love that not a lot of people will know, but it's very jazzy, very upbeat. The message in the tune is basically saying, whenever you get your heart broken, tough. There's nothing that can be done. You just go on, roll on, love more.
Yeah, I was a big, because he was it Change is Gonna Come?
Change is Gonna Come, yes.
Is my favourite.
Revolutionary.
Song,
yeah, revolutionary. Same with my mum. My mum sort of like brought me up on, back in them days, it was like Whitney Houston, 5 Star. So always had music on. Yeah, exactly. And it was, I mean, she also had a passion for the likes of Elvis and Donny Osmond and whatnot. So it was like one of them.
I think your mum's the same age as me.
It was sort of like a rotation of tapes in the car on long journeys. When we used to travel from Gosport to Manchester or something, it was like, right, you've got the tape for an hour, you've got a tape for an hour, and this, that, and the other, and it was all good. I wouldn't say that I even went down the rock route, so to say. So I was purely R&B, soul, reggae. That is my teachings and upbringings. You know, when you get to that age of about 8, 9, where you starting on taking on your own personality, and instead of copying other people, you get your own passion.
Yeah.
My passion was given to me by my sister, who gave me Bob Marley's. It was a vinyl of Bob Marley's Positive Vibration, and I just couldn't stop playing it. Boom, boom, this is me now, and I wouldn't play anything but Bob Marley. Bob Marley was my idol from start.
So at what point did that become a passion for the music, and then changed into I want to have a go at doing this?
It must have been youth club days. So early life, all my family's from Manchester. I've come down to Gosport for the Navy. Me and my sister was born in Portsmouth. So we were brought up here, spent a couple of years to and fro-in, but essentially brought up here in Bridgemary. And literally the switch was a few friends, and we weren't deemed as troublemakers, albeit we got in trouble, but we weren't the makers of trouble all the time. But we used to, oddly enough, sing out on the street, rap, other people's tracks mainly. And used to write a little bit, but never took anything serious. It was just a gathering of the lads, go and sing. And so
where would you do that?
Bridgemary. Our core place was, if anybody knows it, around Cameron Close, there's this subway.
I know. So you used to go under the subway?
Under the subway.
And jam, basically.
Literally.
So it's basically like that, you know, the New York sort of all-round a brazier type of Billy Joel singing, but you were doing it.
It used to be.
Rap.
It used to be. Our guys were not bullies, put it that way, and I was probably the bulliest out of us all. But people used to walk down and then see that we were down there making a kerfuffle, and literally turn back, and we were like, no, we're not like that. We're not like that. You come through. We'll all move out the way.
Yeah.
We're not ones for hassling
it's
or
lovely
gobby.
when that happens. A quick aside, I was going up to Bridgemary a few weeks ago, and I went under a subway, and I can't remember. And there was two little guys there playing guitar.
Yeah, okay.
And
there we go.
And singing to each other, and they stopped the minute I came.
Yep.
I did the exact same. I went, no.
You carry on. Carry on.
It's wonderful to see that's not an easy thing to do, and you know, your confidence to do that. So that was your little spark.
Yeah, and we used to do. We're talking 15, 16 years old here now, and we used to do stupid things like carol singing. But when we went out carol singing for Christmas or something, we used to do, I don't know, Halloween songs. And just completely add a twist and get people cracking up on their doors. And it ended up giving us money, but we weren't even doing it for that. We were doing it more for the knock door stay. And see, instead of running off, you just knock door and then you've just got to sing.
So there's that. And then obviously, because you would call yourself a musician now, yeah? I would call you, I know you're a musician. Yeah. So there's a little bit, and I'm always very interested in this myself. I mean, at what point there's a stage, you know, for the analogy is guitar. When I started playing guitar, I would say I was learning guitar. And then when I got a bit better, I would say I'm playing guitar. And then when I got really good, I'd say I'm a guitarist. And then when I started doing other stuff, I would say I was a musician. So there's like 4 steps between that spark. So at what point, when did it suddenly go, wait, I'm a musician? I know,
Well, on the sidelines where my auntie was actually a pianist teacher. So we had a piano in our hallway all our lives, mainly. And it was literally second nature to go and have a tinkle. However, it was not on a professional level. I did do, I think it was up to stage 6 or something on drums. On drums.
Was that rock school drumming, or was that would have been...
It was a guy called Drummond, which was odd.
Great.
That's how I remember his name. But used to do Holbrook Junior School. And I was good at it and I liked it and whatnot, but I never connected it to this. So while we were singing out on the open, we used to hang around on Bridgemary Field. Back in the days, there was hundreds of views on there, and it did get a bit rough sometimes, but it was more everyone knew each other. And what happened is the youth club, shout out to John Carp Senior. John used to come out and literally urge us to come in and do the singing and recording with his son, John Carp Jr., and a couple of others, Ben Rouse. So we started doing exactly that. Instead of singing out on the thingy, it was, right, to youth club, let's go to practice.
Right.
And we just got up. I think we covered 9 tracks and done one of our own. Yeah, but we set up, or they set up all for us. It was all put out on the line for us, and they helped us out big style. And it's kind of one of the only reasons why I've gone back into youth work was because of this setup. And and it's not until later you appreciate, okay, if I could have gone down another road, a very big, nasty road.
I would argue that most musicians hit a fork in the road at some point. Because creativity is a weird thing, isn't it? It's about risk. It's about wanting to do something which is exciting. And so a lot of musicians, before they become musicians, if you look at the stories, it is like, I could have gone, I just want to be excited, right? I'll just go down there. So I get that there is a sort of tension between that wanting to do something creative and exciting, but it's a risk, and doing something which is also probably illegal and a risk. Yeah. So I think
it's exactly that. It's
a lot
off
of
the
musicians
street.
do that, and then you found it.
Yep, and then we done 2 gigs, one in Southampton, a youth club again, and one in our own
Was
youth
this
club.
as a collective?
Yes, so there was 4 singers, let's say 2 rappers and 2 actual singers. Mark Sell was one, he's a local legend, he does a lot of singing all around, and had Rob Gregory and Olefa Waratimi. All of us basically together, we were collectively called Pure Silk, but later found out there was another band called Pure Silk, so we would have got done with the copyright. Yeah. So we did change our name then to, it started off as New Island Crew, because we saw ourselves in Gosport as completely isolated from the rest of the country, sort of like thing, as in, we're down here, and I wouldn't say there's no way that I received racism. We had an African in the group, and he definitely received racism. But for me to be blasting out Bob Marley, walking down the street, as you used to with the ghetto blasters and whatnot, the amount of stick I got, it was sort of like, go back to listening to your own music, cut your hair, and all this. You get all the jib, but it didn't bother me.
All those people that listened to ska in 1979.
Exactly that. But it didn't bother me. It's obviously my love. If you went back to 16, when I was 16, living with my mum and dad, my whole bedroom, I had a small single box room, but my whole bedroom was covered in Bob Marley flags and everything. I was kind of religious in as much as I wouldn't even listen to hip-hop, because it had some sweary words in there, and it also had derogatory terms for female.
Very misogynistic. Yeah. Early hip-hop is very misogynistic.
Yeah, definitely. It was better. It was promoted big. It was promoted big, definitely. Yeah. But that all kind of got put on pause when I said to myself, I'm in this town, and it's dead end. There's nothing happening here apart from me. Yeah, in as much as I'm thinking that, I want to do this. Yeah. I want to do it, but I've got to go to a city to do it. And where else, or where best? Manchester.
Yep.
So on my 17th birthday, it was literally booked a ticket on the coach for an 11-hour coach ride all the way up to Manchester.
What age were you at that particular point? Then people can work at what age you are now.
Yeah, 17.
So what year was that?
So that
this is the bit.
That would have been 96, 97.
You were in Manchester in 1996.
I was in Manchester when the... I'm not going to say this.
Enter.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I was too young then, so I've just got up there, and a lot of violence up that side, and a lot of things in the news. But I was going to say, if I can spell it out rather than say it, because I don't want to trigger any algorithms, but the IRABOMB, which took out half of Manchester, I felt that. I was working in a flight place just outside of town, and we were in like a 3-story building, and I felt the whole thing shovel me. Yeah. So that's back in them days, and I think, the grass is greener on the other side. I went up there and I love it. I love Mancunians. My family obviously is 100% both sides from there. But I love Mancunians in as much as if you go to Manchester, if you're looking for trouble, you'll get it immediately. However, the opposite is true. And a lot of these street auditors nowadays are showing the bad side of Manchester, where the good side of Manchester is the opposite. If you're going there for a good time, it will show you a good time. And I loved it for that reason, but the violence, the gunshots, the madness.
Well, we hope that's changed.
Yeah, it has. It has slowed down a bit.
Mr. Burnham's watching. I'm pretty sure it's changed.
Yeah.
But so you're in that environment in Manchester, but you were also in that, from what historically the way I would look at it, you were right in the middle of that huge baggy scene, if you want.
Exactly.
I mean, what was it? 94, 95? What's the story came out? So you're right in the middle of all that.
It's just as Jungle's coming out, basically.
Yeah. But in terms of if you want the Manc scene, which was the baggy scene in the Oasis and all those sort of charlatans, you were there right in the middle of it. And I mean, I lived down here by then, and I was very jealous of people living in, because it was all coming out of Manchester.
Definitely, it was thriving.
So you did that. So what musical stuff did you do in Manchester? What were you doing there musically? Because I know what did you go up there for?
It is mainly just to say, packing my bags up, forget Gosport. Gosport's
different
boring.
Place.
I want the city life. And I get up there, and the saying is true. No one actually knows what it's like to live in a city until you live in a city.
Yes.
And the grass is always greener on the other side until you get there. And it was exactly that. I will say, just preferred. I see my future life, and I was thinking, yeah, down south is quieter. And if I'm having kids and whatnot, I'd prefer it be down there than up there. However, again, lovely people up there, even more lovelier than down here, more sociable. That will say hello to you, don't even know you, you know, and have a good old chat with you.
So you love Manchester?
I love it to bits, definitely.
So musically in Manchester?
Musically in Manchester, these were the first time where PCs and laptops were first coming about.
We've got that in the second half, mate. I'm looking forward to that.
So I was kind of producing my own stuff. I entered a competition up there, just on a pirate radio station, where you had to do a jingle for them, and I can get the audio over, but done the jingle and literally blew their minds away. I won the competition. I got a couple of vinyls, so I had to go meet them. From meeting them, they were actually not only the DJs for this pirate radio, they were also workers in a record store that done reggae. So it used to be a regular then, go and see him, mate, and that was good friends. Not only that, though, there was a good couple of family members who owned sound systems. I would regularly go to Manchester University Underground. It was mainly dub, but the bass I've heard nowhere else in this world other than there. You could watch a beer literally go and not spill a drop as it's going across the speaker, across the sub. Absolutely amazing experience. As I say, this was all when I was 17, just turning 18. So from my experience, it was like, wow, this is amazing. This is brilliant. And it was. Went to one of the pirate radios one time, and there's a reggae artist from London, God bless his soul, he's passed now, but Nearest Joseph. And I'm just sat in there with one of the DJs, and Nearest Joseph turns up for an interview, and literally he's got bodyguards, so to say, because we're in the middle of Moss Side. Yep. So bodyguard comes in, checks out who's in the room, sees him, and it's just me in the corner, and immediately comes up, ooh, this boy, you know, ooh, this. And he's like, no, he's okay, he's cool, he's with me, he's good, he's sounding, he's going, you sure? And he's keeping a thingy on the Nearest Joseph comes in and just belts out one of the best numbers, hairs on the back of the neck, everything. You're just like, oh my God, what have I just experienced?
17, 18?
18, yeah. And it's exactly that. I'm ringing my guy up who's the DJ, and I'm saying, he's going, come to the church in Moss Side. I'm like, mate, that's Gooch Street. That's known as one of the roughest areas. I'm not going to get took out, am I? And he goes, no, you're all good. You're with me. I'll come meet you. You're good.
So you've your Manchester experience. So you're performing, or you're recording and doing a little bit of stuff. And then let's get back, because I'm really interested in this whole thing, because I've been through it as well. And I used to run a music charity, as you know. It's this thing about young people having the opportunity and the facility to make music for free is probably the best thing. And I'm really keen on finding out. So you go to Manchester. What brought you back? I'm assuming you came back here, family. You wanted a family. I came down here because it's sunny, right? So
it's exactly that. That. It was more, right, I've had enough. There was at the point, and there's only so long that you can trick your own mind into thinking, well, that's just pallets falling from the back of a truck every other night.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's you were in Manchester, tetchy time in terms of, but also
it was known as Gunchester at the time.
There you go.
Yeah.
But also one of the most musical cities in the planet at the time as well.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
So ended up coming back down. That's it. I've had enough. Come back down here. Got myself a job. I was actually working in the Navy News over in Portsmouth Barracks there. Just basically doing internet work, website work. Worked my way over to Brittany Ferries, and during this time I'm looking out for gigs. So we end up going to one gig, and at this time there is a hip-hop crew called the Go Off Crew who are running regular events. Brendan, DJ Big Stuff. He's been involved in the youth work and whatnot time and time again. He was one of the core members of the Go Off. Uncle Al, Dharma 77, who does the caricatures and graphics. And they already had a crew. They already had a set base and everything on lock in Portsmouth. So we've gone over, and we've actually gone over to watch a very big artist, legendary artist called Blade. And this was in the subway. It was a little dingy place where you could literally walk in there, and the ceiling is literally that big, so you couldn't jump up or you'd headbutt the ceiling. But what happened, 7 of us had gone out there, and Blade, as he does in all his gigs, gives opportunities to everyone. Salute him, definitely. He literally said, are there any Portsmouth MCs out there? So my mate actually shoved me so hard that I fell into his lap.
You know how many times I've had stories where people have said, exactly that. They were a singer, or they were a guitarist, and somebody went, yeah, he can.
Yeah.
Or they can.
Exactly
and they just shove them out there. And
It's
it changes.
exactly
I mean, and that's an origin story of a lot of musicians.
Yeah, definitely. And I went out there and I actually messed it up to start with. Salute Mark B, who was Blade's DJ. He's passed away now, but salute him. He put on a beat, and it was a fat beat, but because I'm so reggae influenced at the time, not that I couldn't flow over hip-hop, because I was doing it naturally during the day, but it was more I'd missed something and I'd not got the beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Blade actually pulled it up and said, yeah, Mark B, I've got what he's trying to do. And it was more of a dancehall reggae bashment style. Yeah. So he's literally got onto the mic and just started beatboxing.
And you started toasting on top of it.
Immediately, I just dropped, and we both gelled so well. We had the whole club like.
So that was, like, shall we say, your first big experience. And then, and I know you had another. I know you've got a 95 at this point anyway, and you've always had a 95 as a musician. So you are the way a community musician, same as myself. It's not. Yeah. There's musicians and there's community musicians, and we do that stuff, you know, go out there and teach young people how to play music, how to perform music, how to act when you are a musician, all the boring stuff, which we'll talk about later. We'll try not to talk about too much boring stuff. So we've got Gleem back down here performing now. Now, I met you in 2007. Are we at that
we're at
point
2001
now?
there.
Right, so we got another 6 years to very quickly get in.
Yeah. So those 5 years were basically a training ground for me then. So what they did, go off crew. Put it this way, I wasn't hip hop. They knew I wasn't hip hop. However, I had to flex. I had to say, okay, not everyone's into reggae, and when I go to a hip hop group, it's more hip hop rock. So it's that type. So I've got to now change and adapt, obviously, to the hip hop side and write hip hop lyrics, which is where some of my best work actually come from, because I was like, how do I change? How do I cross over but make it good? So Fight for Survival, Pompey Monarchy, and a couple of tracks, if you want to look them up and whatnot, they come out as a result of that.
See, that's the other interesting thing about that, is that as a spoken word artist, as a rapper, we tend to think it's just rap. But you've got that whole toasting tradition from the, as you say, but you actually, as a rapper, had to decide, how am I going to change my flow? How am I going to do?
Yep.
So they are distinct musical genres, if you want, within hip hop. And I just find that interesting, because it's like a guitarist playing one style or another style. It happens. So you did that. So you had your sort of reggae thing going on, and then you sort of pushed it into hip hop.
Hip hop, yeah. And then from there, we kind of grew. There was originally four members. We grew into probably 12. And inspired a lot of generations below us as well. There's a couple of people over Portsmouth side who created, there's a couple of crews that I've got to shout out, A Shade of Grey and Bar Staff. One of the members of Bar Staff is Pav.
Yeah, I know Bar Staff.
I did some Mongrel.
Yeah, I did some guitar work with them. And
there we go.
Long time.
And it was sort of like we were doing our own gigs, very small, nothing massive at all. But the Go Off crew had moved, let's say, over to Brighton. The core members had moved to Brighton and given the scene back, let's say. Let's just put it like that. But they reigned for 10 years. They brought some of the biggest artists down here right the way through on the UK hip-hop side of things. So 5 years into it, we've probably done about 300 or 400 gigs all around Gosport as well. So we've even brought the likes of Rodney P and Skits down to Gosport. Salute Jake. But we've got a good base now on how to put a set together, how to put tracks together, how for multiple of us to get together. But there was never that collaboration enough to say, right, we want to take this to the next level and we want to tour this as a set, as a main
Become
thing.
a proper band and go out and do stuff.
And then what tends to happen is you get breakaways. Everything
it
breaks
fragments
up.
after that as well. I mean, a lot of collectives do, a lot of musical collectives
Exactly.
do.
I ended up taking my guys to the pub and saying, look, my closer guys, not the extended family, so to say, but the closer guys, and just saying, look, I seem to be doing 10 gigs to your one. I'm going to break out and do my own thing, basically, because I can't rely on trying to get all you organised, and then it's only me turning up at the end of it. So it was a natural break. One of us actually flew out and started to live in San Diego, shout out Graphic, who he continued over there. He went on the biggest rap battle YouTube channel while he was over there in San Diego, and he won a battle, lost a battle, I think, but really good lyricist in
So
as much
at this point, are you Gleem at this point?
Yeah. I've been Gleem since, I would say, that 15-year-old me. Yeah. I was known...
We'll quickly go back, why Gleem? I mean, I know Lee McConville, you wrote Lee.
Lee and then... Yeah, but I'd done it as an anagram, and we'd done it as the New Island crew, rewinding back to that. We actually changed it to Nice Vibes. And I'm stupid, I'm just too wordy. So Nice Vibes stood for New Island Communications and Entertainment.
We love an acronym.
And then Vocal Inspiration Before Everyone's Sacrificed.
Oh, love an acronym. Don't get on me, I love an acronym. Right, if you want it, later on we can chat acronyms, I love them.
And then the Gleem come out, and obviously it was because of that. I'm not going. There's one other story, but I don't want to promote that. Yeah, the core of that acronym is God loves everybody, even me.
That's too deep, so we're going to move on from that. So it's great, and there's a load that I could unpack there, but let's get... So we got Gleem. We got Gleem the musician. But you've done stuff with collectives around the place. You've recorded, you've released. You're still working.
Yeah, all working all the way throughout. I've never not been. Yeah. But then this leads to me meeting Ben Otterson, Ox.
I know Ben well.
Run in the same circles. He was part of Ways of Ice, a reggae-influenced rock band, sort of like hip-hop, all fused. I loved them. They still do bits now, either way, just few and far between. Ox come up to me and said, Gleem, want a word? I know someone called Jinx, who is one of the Portsmouth Music Association guys at the time, before music.
PMS.
Yeah, PMS, service, who has got funding for a beatboxer and a rapper to go around to youth establishments and to teach them how to beatbox and how to rap, to write lyrics. Obviously, under the full nature, and I love this bit, this was kind of like my heart line right the way through this whole thing, is youth service. No one could swear. So it's hip-hop. Obviously, I've got to teach young people hip-hop, but not swearing.
That's such an interesting thing, and I remember, and this is where we sort of, I remember working with you, with Music Fusion when we did all these sort of lounge projects and outreach projects and teaching. And the thing that was really noticeable was that, how do you rap? It was a weird thing. How do you rap without swearing? And even, you would, because that's what, particularly back then, I would say they would probably listen to a lot of that. But yeah, and it was always more prevalent in hip-hop. I mean, pop music, you do get the odd swear word, but it's not it didn't feel part of the genre, whereas, and I remember going, how's he going to do this, right? And it is about using this other words and syllables, and
exactly that.
And I remember you doing this.
Yeah, my whole philosophy for that is that a swear word is a waste of word that you could alternatively use another word which is either funnier. So instead of saying the swear word shh, you would say poop. Or something like, and no one's expecting you to say poop, sort of like in the middle of a sentence.
Quite funny.
And then it becomes,
swearing is verbal punctuation, and in the right place it works, but this is not. But for young people, it's having that discipline. It's a weird thing about swearing, isn't it? If you don't know when. So essentially what you were doing is you were teaching them how to be able to articulate themselves without swearing.
Exactly that. And it's exactly that with a lot of them. They were saying, it's how I express myself. You can't stop me expressing myself. And then you got to enlighten them in as much to say, you can express yourself perfectly fine, but you can use a vocabulary. Put it this way, if you swear, this is the ultimate, and this is one gem of advice for any up-and-coming artist. Stop swearing in your final productions. Yeah, even if you do swear, but then you've always got to have a radio edit.
Have a radio edit.
Because the amount of audience that you're limiting just for having swear words in there, and the same thing happens on the algorithms for socials. As soon as you swear, you're flagged as over 18, restricted audience straight away. Yeah. Advice to any young artist, don't swear. Or at least, if you're releasing a track and you want to release a minute of it, release the minute without the swearing in it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because back in the day when we did that, if we recorded any young people and there was swearing, all right, we had tech, but we'd have to just labour through the file and go, right, get out the swearing, get out the swearing, get out the swearing. For doing a radio edit, you can basically just stick it into AI and say, give me a radio edit.
Exactly.
And it'll pick out the words and just take them out. You can even get software that'll swap the word around.
Yeah.
So you just record the word that you want to put in its place, and then just put it in everywhere. Yep. So But you're right, it's such a good skill.
I think it had an inadvertent effect in as much as obviously we had to do it for our... We can't go back to our funders, National Lottery and whatnot, and say, here's some swearing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Here's something that you can't use at all ever because it's so explicit. So we had to have proper proof with proper lyrics, proper words. And what it gets the young person into thinking is, it's kind of like, I felt like a teacher a lot of the time where they come to me and say, right, is this right? Is this right? And I'd see shh and everywhere. And you're just like, right, no, we can change this, we can change that, you can do a different tact on that. And then kind of like unmark it or downmark it, let's say, and then not accept it until it comes back clean. Yeah. And the core thing about that, what that teaches them is reflection. And exactly that. If you do want to reach all that massive audience, you've got to make sure that your lyrics are clean on that side. And
acceptable,
Yeah, and if you drag them in, and let's say there are over 18s who do actually listen to your stuff, then they can go and pour into your swear words and whatnot. But for your commercial, for your retail, let's say, products, they've got to be spick and span. Because you've got to think that having no swear words opens you up to the likes of advertisers, sponsorship, brand deals, everything like that. Yeah. Having swear words is stopping you from that. Yeah. And trust me on this, you're not going to make your millions from the music itself. You're going to make it from the gigs and everything that surrounds that music.
And the marketing and the merch.
The music is the bag. Yeah. In your shopping.
We'll get into that in the second half where I think talking about the industry thing, but what I would say with young people that you've sort of mentioned is that performance aspect of what they do. And again, when we worked together, we had it. We didn't let people stand up there and perform if they were going to swear.
Exactly.
So as somebody, performance is an amazing thing for a young person. Stand up in front of their peers and us, and sing or play or whatever. So they lost the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Because if you're going to swear, I'll give you. I shouldn't. It's not my show. But I did one of the last things I did with Music Fusion was in the Lee Park. We called it, what was it? Band, it was called, right? There was about 120 young people turning up every week. It was ridiculous. And then we had a scratch band who used to play. They called Quick Say Something. That was the name of the band because somebody asked what the name was and he went, Quick Say Something, and that became the name of the band. And they did Killing in the Name. It was the last ever band. And you know the bit in Killing in the Name where I won't do what you want. And I'm just looking at them and they're just looking at me. And it was like almost that little moment I went, yeah, all right, you can. And gave them that little moment. But there was a respect and it was cheeky. You know what I mean? They weren't, it was cheeky, but it was so respectful. This is the last time we're ever going to do that. I'm just going to push, which is what young people do. But giving them that opportunity to perform is absolutely huge. Exactly. And as I say, and that's what you were doing. I mean, some of the artists that I worked with, that you mentored and stuff like that. So that idea of, so you're in Music Fusion at this point. We're probably coming to the end of the first half, actually. So we've got you as Gleem the musician and Gleem the community musician. What would you say? Let me see. I've got this here. Right. Looking back, you may have to edit this.
It's okay.
I don't like this.
Auto edits.
No, I just don't like this question, right? You read questions, you go, I don't like that question. Now, I wanted to know something. There's almost like you've got many, 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 many moments in your life. I want to sort of focus a little bit on that young person, that young musician mentoring, looking at. You probably get many, but is there a standout? And it doesn't need to be that somebody went on to become the greatest person in the world, but is there a moment in amongst all those other moments that you went, that was me, I made that young person, not made, but I inspired.
Contributed.
Is there one there, or is that too much?
I think there's quite a few.
I know there's going to be a few.
I'd say the three core ones in my eyes. Number one, Kiz and Blessed.
They're two rappers, by the way, who did lots of work. Yeah.
They basically took over from me. Blessed mirrored me for my last days at Music Fusion, and vice versa. Kiz was when we went over there, I think it was Hailing Island, I think that one was. Went over there and he was one of the first. It was that wave of 8 Mile, Nem's 8 Mile. Yeah. So he had so much energy, so much want, I need to get into this or I'm going to be throwing stones through people's windows, style. Yeah. So those two have done me the most proud because out of the end of it, I cannot claim any credit for their skills, for what they've done, for their urge in life. You know what I mean? You can't claim credit for someone's works. However, I'm proud as hell to be part of it. to be part of their upbringing and allow them to do what they're now
I would argue
reciprocating back
that
out.
you can take some credit.
Well, it's not for their works because
No, but they couldn't do what they did if they hadn't have been shown and mentored how to do it. We both have worked for music charities with young people.
Definitely.
And when they come in and they've got that itch and you know they want to do something, they need guidance and they need expertise. So and they can't do what they do if you didn't at least help them, mentor them. But to develop, right? Yeah. The first time, it's that thing, somebody writes a little does a little, like, 2 sentences, and your job as the expert is, that's all right, but see if you did that, or you change that syllable there, or you put 3 syllables in there instead, and they go, and they go away. You give them the opportunity.
Exactly.
So, yes, you can. I've got over this now, and I think you should as well. You can take credit.
It's just one of them. I'm too proud to even bother on that side, but with them, just to explain back to the audience, is Blessed and Kiz, Matt and Kieran, they literally 7 years now, or 8 years, they've been running a night, word of mouth, and Battleground, which is both showcasing young artists all around the areas, as well as battle rapping, where people can win up to thousands. And on the other side of that, they are actually the organisers behind the Portsmouth Music Awards, which, to me, from my perspective, looking at what opportunities I got given, I could have probably competed with them in as much as done as much as they've done. But from it's got to be laziness. That's all I can put it down to. I was too caught up with a job and doing this and that and the other, and in my own ego probably, to not advance what they done. They took it to the next level, and they've literally done me so proud. They are the musical heartbeat of Portsmouth. Undeniable.
But again, you do have to give yourself a little bit of credit in that. And it's not lazy, by the way. You're a busy man. You've got a lot in your head. But there's only so much you can do. We make our decisions. I would still call myself a musician, but when I say that to young people, they don't just say, what do you play? They say, are you famous?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm a community musician. I make music with the community. And you do get these little, you will always get people coming out. So you might work with 800, 900 young people. Most of them will take something else out of what you do. And the 2 examples you gave there, they're running events. That's not necessarily being a musician, but that's taking all the skills that you learn as a musician and whether it be communication, whether it be teamwork, whether it be scheduling, whether it be organising, whether it be tech, and taking and then being able to talk to people. Communication's huge, but you've done that through music, and I think that's something about we can in terms of youth music stuff. This is what people miss, is they think what we do is to teach people music. It's like, we teach people how to live life.
It's exactly that. It's a lot more than just music.
That's what, and again, we are merging here because this is the bit where Gleem and I do that a lot.
Literally.
I think on that note,
I've just got to say one more one though. One more one out of the lot. We used to go over Southampton, predominantly Portsmouth based. Obviously, Music Fusion was based in Havant, or is still based in Havant. And by the way, please support them. Donate to charity there. Every donation will go to a youth's music teaching of some
to help
sort.
Young people get involved in music. It's as simple as that.
That's it. It's musicfusion.org.uk. Predominantly based in Portsmouth. We still got the odd multiple sessions, let's say 5 or 10 sessions over in Southampton. And one of the ones we were delighted to actually deal with is Sol Milson. Sol Milson actually was part of the Music Fusion project when we done Words Not Weapons. So he's on that album and whatnot. What he's done for himself, he's been through real tough times, and I think that's what it has been his making. A lot of things, he's put pen to pad on circumstances and come up with some bangers, in my personal opinion. And he is one, there's not a lot of artists that I would say this about, but he's one that I would buy his album. There's only a select, I'd say 10 artists in the world that I would physically go out my way and literally buy that album. And he is one of them.
Okay, that's a recommendation.
Milson, and he goes under
What's
Milson.
his name again?
Milson. He's Southampton based now. And he's done tracks with Big Nasty. He gets, I think it's close to about 1 million listeners a month.
You're going down that interesting thing about why does Southampton seem to always get, like Craig David. Why is it? What is it? It's a different discussion about why Pompey never, and I mean, we've got your Joe Jackson, people like that, but we've never in the last 20 years who was it? St. Lundy came out from Halen Island, but it was, it was a little flash in the pan.
Yeah.
There's not been that artist, like,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
how big are you? And it's a very interesting conversation between Southampton and I don't know why, but Southampton do seem to have more. But that's something. I think on this note, we're going to have a break.
Yep.
Another drink of water or a cup of tea, and we will be back in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Gosport Spotlight at the media space in Carpenter's Yard. If anyone's not been down to Carpenter's Yard, please do. It's a lovely space full of lovely artists right next to the Powder Monkey, which does some lovely beer and lovely entertainment. So you get yourself down here if you can. Nick van der Veer, he's the one that runs the media space, and it's if anyone's interested in doing podcasts and stuff, get in touch with the guy. Yeah. Anyway, Gleem, we're back.
Yes, sir.
This section, I just wanted to. One thing I'm very interested and keen on right now. I did a workshop the other day at Key West. Big shout out to Key West, an amazing venue in Gosport. And we were basically taking some young aspiring musicians through some of what we call the boring stuff, if you want. So the tax side of things, the self-assessment side of things, PRS, public liability insurance, etc. All these things you need. If you don't do the admin, you've not got a chance. But one of the things that we really stuck on and talked a lot about was this whole digital release and self-release, and this idea that even when I go back, when I started, we were very lucky, I think, when we started working in music, the tech was changing. Mm-hmm. It hadn't changed to the way it is now, where you can do in a day would normally take you 6 months. You can self-release in a day. So going back to when you first started, because obviously hip-hop was very much a techie type of music anyway, because decks, beatbox, what do you call them? Big.
Yep.
What do you call
the speakers, you mean?
Yeah, no, the cassette tapes that we used.
Yeah, the boom boxes.
The boom boxes. There you go. So there's always been a tech element. So how do you feel going back to your early days when you started to record? What's changed? Do you think it's better, or not better? But do you think it's better? Young people or young musicians or aspiring musicians have a better chance. What's got in the way? That sort of thing. So your first example, or your first introduction to tech, and you're a software developer, so let's not talk about that. But your first introduction to tech in a musical sort of capacity would be?
Yeah, it would have been around our DJ's place for Nice Vibes, DJ Kenster. He had an Atari.
Yeah.
And the first programming, click by mouse button type, but with a controller and a keyboard.
Yeah.
And we had some bits.
Well, he's a MIDI controller.
Yeah.
You had MIDI.
Yeah, exactly. Pain back in them days to get working and keep working. But I will say, back in them days, the software, Cubasis, which was before
I remember
Cubase.
it. Yeah.
And Cubasis was very primitive. Couldn't really do much on it apart from panning, sort of thing. You got volume sliders, but panning, and that's it. I will say, now I compare that to today's programs, where you've got every option that you could ever dream of in there. You just need to figure out how to use it. Back in them days, it was a lot simpler to get an idea up and running and it be stable. However, nowadays, with the advent of AI, just by typing prompts, you can get amazing stuff done. However, again, I don't like that. I would prefer somebody to actually create the beat or instrumental or whatever production. I would prefer a human to do it, even if AI can do a better job. A human to do it, because it's a human that's going to be listening to it. And we ultimately have the say. So AI-wise, I can cross that over in my coding world as well and say, everyone's scared of, AI is going to take your programming job. Me, I am happy as Larry knowing that it's not going to. Yeah, it may do. It may shock me, and I'll be sat here in a year's time and I'll be taken over by a robot. But the quality of the code, that I ask it for something, it will come back, and it's like someone who's new just learnt how to code.
Yeah,
will come back.
I can see how answer. We're not really going to do the coding and AI thing, but I do think that, like anything, it'll get better.
Yeah.
And I don't mean better in a good way.
Yeah.
But it'll become more of it. But going back to the sort of musical thing. So I think what a lot of young people, young musicians, don't understand what the environment was like before. So the good things that have happened around technology, DAWs, which are for people who want to know, it's a digital audio workstation. Cubase is a great example, but there's Logic, there's a very basic GarageBand, Ableton, etc., etc. There's loads out there, and there's also a thing called Audacity, which is a free piece of software which will do all that sort of stuff. But when I go back, I mean, the first time I used, I think it was what was it called? It was called Acid, and it was
Soundforge.
Soundforge, Acid,
and Acid, and Sonic
so that
Foundry.
was the first one, Sonic Foundry, and that was one of the first things. But then what I'm trying to get at, I think, here is that back then it made recording easy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But it didn't. Young musicians in general were not expected to do the other side of things because the tech wasn't there. So like the marketing, like the EPKs, the electronic press kits, etc., etc. So do you think where is this is a good one? Where do you feel in terms of the industry is now, whether technology has enhanced it or hindered it? And there's going to be two answers there, but do you think,
Definitely two answers there. Definitely one, enhanced it in as much as, is it more widely acceptable now for younger people? And yes, as you say, there are many software packages available free. Just have to give your email or something and whatnot, but you can be producing something, as you say, within 24 hours you can have something released without having to pay a penny nowadays. Now, unfortunately, that's a double-edged sword, and that means that any man and his dog can release, like me and this dog, can release anything we want. We can release a song with just the dog barking in there. And what that does, inadvertently, is it dilutes the talent and skill level, because you can make a buzz. If you've got a lot of friends, you're popular in school or you're popular wherever, in the pub, you can go and make a track quickly, say something stupid on it, and you not can be a millionaire or anything like that, but you can create a buzz and a stir, and then be able to say to everyone, yeah, I've got 10,000 views on my track here. I'm a releasing artist. When, albeit, yes, that does qualify you to be that. Yeah, you've released something, so yes, you are a releasing artist. However, are you an artist, first off? Have you gained that skill set? And the whole thing in life is the 10,000 hours in it. You've got to put 10,000 hours into a skill in order to be good at it. And what the technology does nowadays is allow you to skip button that, skip ad.
Yeah, I think there's where that, you're right, that you could probably do one. I think it's the content, it's the consistency. So a musician, you can all have you're right, you can put it out there, your family and friends, you could get up to like 5,000 views now. Again, just for, I suppose for continuity, if you go back to, or context, sorry, if you go back to the 70s and the 80s and you had 10,000 people buying your single, you'd probably be doing all right. Yep. Whereas, and I don't know what the margins are, I did this the other night, but you'd probably be talking about £3.75. That is the difference. Yep. And the bit that's also important is the marketing. So you're a web designer as well as all the other things that you do. Back in the day, the label's job was to do the promotion, to do the marketing. As a musician, your job is write songs. Exactly. We'll record, we'll do everything, right? Mm-hmm. So I just wonder how you feel about, what do you feel about the fact that it's democratized, it has democratized the music industry, but I keep coming back to, what's the thing? Is that good? I don't know.
See, I think the thing with the internet, the advent of the internet, we all had the old dial-up back in the days before MySpace even, and Friends Reunited and stuff like that. But I think the core of it is when the internet came about, it was easy to transfer files. Making it easy to transfer files and rip CDs into MP3s made the music accessible freely. Now, the music industry had to do one thing or it was going to collapse. Basically, everybody was listening to their stuff for free and they needed to monetize that in order to pay the artist and all the millions that they've just put in to advertising, marketing, and whatnot. So their response was what we've ended up with today, which is something I really, really dislike and despise, that the likes of Spotify exists. I understand the platform from a software point of view. I understand why it exists. What I don't understand is the compensation back to the artist.
The margins are gross.
Yeah, they are definitely gross. 0.003p, which isn't even valid currency. It is, but it isn't. If you understand, it's not even 1p per listen. And it was exactly that. Back in the days, you were forced to take production in-house, so produce your own CDs, print them out, put the labels on them and whatnot. And in some cases that worked brilliantly. In some cases, as in my case, that didn't. Using cheap stuff.
So you were burning your own CDs at home? Or your own stuff?
My first EP that I released, which was in the Wedgwood Rooms, that was all... I think I'd done 60 CDs and sold them all outright for $5 each. So the money that I gained on that night, I can comfortably say I have not gained that on Spotify in 5 years releasing actual product.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Absolutely ridiculous. And but on the back of that, to release on Spotify as an artist, and especially if you want to become an approved, or what I think is Spotify artist, you've got to have a biog. You've got to have some decent shots of yourself, you know, so you've got to have marketing and merch and promo stuff. I know a lot of labels now expect a certain amount of followers on socials before they'll even look at you.
Exactly.
So they've taken all that stuff that a label was supposed to be doing and they put it on. So it's great for transferable skills. People are learning how to be marketeers. People are learning how to be promoters. People are learning how to use tech. You know, it's great for that. Yep. But in terms of, is it nurturing the music industry? Is the bit I'm not too sure.
No, it is exactly that. It's you've given too much tools, and that's just technology. Technology is. I could say the same thing happened with Photoshop and graphic design. Same thing happened with website design. It makes it quicker and easier, and gives you a false sense of talent. I think
I like that a lot.
I think that's the phrase.
I really like that.
I'm not saying that this comes from humbleness rather than arrogance, because I'm not saying, I'm talented, I've released something, but it's more.
No, you've worked at it.
it's exactly that. I mean, to put people in the picture, my first album that I produced, Raw Bloodline, Christine Cowlin produced. We'll get onto the Wailers next. But that album spanned over 6-7 years worth of recordings. So obviously, being a part of a band member, and you'll find this out later on if you ever do get on touring. But if I'm stuck here and not on tour, and I've got a friend who's my producer who is on tour, there's few and far opportunities when they land back in the country. You've just got to quickly go around there, and they're going to be tired and whatnot, not tonight, and this, that, and the other. So it's 6 years of hard at it. Exactly that, and re-recording, redoing them, going back and saying, right, that wasn't done that well, let's re-record that one and do it.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's not just a bedroom recording. However, on the other side of the blade, again, you've got the likes of Bonkers guy, Dizzy Rascal.
Dizzy Rascal, yeah.
Dizzy Rascal is the prime example and leader of what you can do without a label. In as much as guy's a multi-millionaire now, guy's got albums everywhere, and everyone knows him in the world. But he done everything from a computer in his bedroom. But again, there needed to have been that underlining sort of like talent. He didn't just go, right, I bought a laptop, mum, bang, press play, and he's all of a sudden got one of the biggest selling albums of all time.
He worked at it, and he used the technology. And I suppose that's quite a positive way of looking at it, is there will always be the cream rising to the top, and that will be those who put in the hours, you know, and do the work and do the admin, as it turns out. But they're always going to rise to the top. I suppose what it means now, whereas back in the day, especially when you're talking vinyl days, early 70s and stuff like that, there wasn't the capacity to just put out dross.
Exactly.
And I hate to say the word, but you know what I mean? Because,
it's true.
Because if you wanted to record, you had to find a studio, and that was going to cost you more than a week's wages, probably a month's wages. You're going to have to get it pressed, you know, and you can't do that. You're going to have to get all that sort of stuff. So it stopped, maybe. And I think as a musician, I think we've just got to look at, there's a lot more noise than there used to be. And I think we have to accept that you know, little Johnny, who's 9.5, is going to put happy birthday out to his granny, and it's going to go viral. And we've just got, I think, just got to accept that and go, but as you say, those people who put the hours in and who learn to use the technology, so for them, it's a tool for them. I don't know if that's a cynical way of looking at it. We just got to accept that there's a lot more dross around them. We just got to filter it out more.
Yeah, I think it is that. But it's more, I don't know, it's more, sounds very anti-capitalist of me, but it's more that there's people earning a lot more money off of the music than the artists themselves.
Yes.
When Spotify was supposed to be that, it was supposed to be, let's cut out the middleman of the label, and then you can directly show the world your music. And it's like the labels have now got in the way again, in as much to say, right, if you want to be viral, you've got to still be with the label or have a mass marketing budget. And that's the thing. With releasing, for me, music releasing is more of a marketing thing anyway. I wouldn't expect to become rich off of sales themselves. And I don't think listening to a lot of the big artists, they make money off the shows, the merch. That's where there is as I said before, the music itself is just the carrier bag to take the shopping.
So do you think there's still room for, one, studios, and two, it's quite an interesting one, small venues, right? Do you still think there's room for those? Because everyone's just putting on Spotify or other digital platforms. There's plenty around, Napster, you name it. But, Tidal, that's quite big at the moment. But do you think this is the studios and stuff like that are at risk of still being around? Or
I think that's a very interesting one, and I do believe that there will be a die down in it. I mean, for example, Ren. If anybody's heard of or seen of Ren.
Ren is part of the Breaking Through program that Louis was doing at Key West. Yes.
Okay, there we go. He is a very, very good artist.
Oh, no, different Ren.
Okay.
There's a female vocalist called Ren who comes with that.
No, Ren stormed the internet, basically, with... It was more to do with he's very much from the mental health background, and he had this one where he's in a gown from hospital, basically, and he's talking to himself, saying, "Hi, Ren, do this, do that, and do some nasty things," and then turns into the devil, like the devil in the Devil versus the Angel. Very brilliant concept. Videos on point. His actual dramatics and the way how he transitions from one track to another is amazing, off the charts. Really good shit. Yeah, he is top tier. However, he made it viral, probably made millions. I couldn't guarantee it's millions, but it's hundreds of thousands, if not. The numbers he gets, millions, we're talking, of millions of people and millions of hardcore followers. But he done all that, released albums, made thousands of sales before doing one single gig. Never done a gig. And actually said to the camera, speaking to social media, I'll get anxiety. Fine. You know what I mean? He done it, though. That's the thing. If you were to say the old school music manager, right, we have to go around all the pubs in the UK, make sure your name's heard, that no longer exists, I don't think. However, that should exist because that's how you get your hardcore fans. That's going and physically being in a town.
Face to face but it's a real interesting thing, face to face rather than virtual. And we all live in that world now where you get a choice. You can either talk to somebody on Zoom or you can talk to them face to face, and even then you know the difference. There is something about and when you're performing, there is something about an audience and having an audience there, which sort of brings me on to the other thing about in terms of, I said that, so you think studios still have a role. A very topical thing at the moment is small venues.
Yeah.
Do you feel that that they will keep going? What is it that's stopping? Because one of the big things about small venues that they're saying is they're just not getting the funding, they're not getting the support. But that's really ticket sales, isn't it? You're not getting bums on seats. Is that something that? Why are young musicians? Why are young people in general? And it is a generalisation. Why are they not going to these places? I went to Key West the other week, and I love Key West. And it was a festival, young bands, and I was there. And the band's on stage, average age, 22, 23. Audience, 40 plus. So how do we get, two questions. How do we get more young people into small venues? And two, why do you think they might not be going into small venues?
I think, answer question one, an EMP, which wipes out everyone's phones. So everyone stops doing that and goes, what's happened? What's going on in the real world?
Electromagnetic pulse, by the way, which I'm pretty sure people know about.
That's it. But I think it's that. I see it with my own children. I've got children in their teens, and they're exactly that. Online is a massive thing. And if I'm honest, with the lockdown and whatnot, I can't blame them because they were kind of pushed onto it. Right, we're all going to get on meeting calls now. We're all going to join these Snapchat, WhatsApp groups and whatnot.
It's really interesting. So are they consuming... They're consuming music in I hate to use that word consuming, but it's true, isn't it? It's a commodity. They're consuming music in a different way. So the question is, how would you get them back into small venues?
Now, I would say from my children's perspective, they wouldn't go to the small venue ones. They would go to large concert ones.
Why?
Unknown. I believe that is because of it's the size of the artist. The size of the artist. If you're an artist big enough to fill Wembley,
That's quite sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is exactly. It is
So,
exactly that.
who do they listen to?
Well,
Or what genre do they listen to?
my 18-year-old, there we go. Her favourite band is Arctic Monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
She's 18. She wasn't even around.
She wasn't even around when they started.
When they were around.
Yeah.
And she's got vinyls.
I think you probably, that's an exception to the rule. You've got extremely cool kids.
Is on that, but Lana Del Rey, I think, was one of her ones, and she introduced her to me, and I was like, wow.
But
okay,
Lana Del Rey is about 15 years ago, that's what I'm saying. Your daughter's got exceptional taste.
Yeah.
But let's look at, I suppose I'm trying to lead you a little bit in terms of the genre. So the genres of music that people listen to, young people listen to. If you go to the skate parks or anything like that, and you look around, or this fad where you go down on your bike and you have a big MP3, a big speaker, and it's trap, it's grime, it's EDM, electronic dance music, it's all that sort of stuff. So young people want to hear that stuff, and it seems to be the prevailing music that they're listening to. It's something like 84% of young people love, shall we call it, urban-y type. It's huge. So I always wonder, well, and I know you mentioned word of mouth, but in general, is there enough of that? Because what I'm trying to get at is if a young person likes a genre of music, and that genre of music was getting played somewhere locally, would that make them go there? Or would it still be down to, well, you didn't sell 10 million on Spotify, or you're not huge, so I won't bother?
I think, yeah. I don't know, with the younger two, my son is into grime. He's only 14 though, so he hasn't had that experience of going out. But I would assume word of mouth is like a blueprint for him actually going to a small venue. Otherwise, there would be nothing there. And same in every smaller town or even smaller city around the UK. There is not a lot of gigs put on because there is a massive stigma behind that whole genre, and still
Thank you, we're getting there.
Yeah, and still is with hip hop, even reggae. Reggae is supposed to be a lovey-dovey dance sort of like thing, but there seems to be that stigma of Notting Hill. And
I'm going to use a phrase here, like when I asked somebody many years ago, about 4 years ago, chatting about this particular subject, about hip hop and stuff like that, and he said it's a bit stabby in it. Mm-hmm. That's a horror, but that
is the stigma it's been given, definitely, and I can't blame anyone other than the artists. The artists themselves.
That. But when you listen to how, I'll use the word ubiquitous, it is amongst young, so many young people are listening to this everywhere, and they're not all hoods, right?
You're exactly right.
But I do think there's as you say, there's a reluctance, a risk. You don't want to take the risk because you might get somebody who does something silly, but you're right. It's wrapped up in that whole perception.
Can I break away on a story on that?
Yep.
And I believe this was what forced me into youth work, in trying to give people an opportunity, because I know there isn't one. Because I've tried it. Walked down that road, found it so difficult, especially in Gosport. If I say exactly in Gosport, I've had the experience where I've spoken to a counsellor, no names mentioned, but I've rung up the counsellor and I've said, I've got a couple of rappers, and this was while I was doing Music Fusion, so I had that kind of thing, but didn't lean on the establishment for anything. It was more, I'm a local urban rapper / reggae artist. It's the Battle of the Bands, Gosport. On the rules, it literally said no CDs, no instrumentals on background music on CDs. You're a band. This is the Battle of the Bands.
No backing tracks.
And I literally rung up the organiser and literally asked and said, look, I've got 6 or 7 up to par, no swearing. That was my ultimate thing. No swearing, commercially ready, singers, soul singers, female soul singers, as well as a couple of rappers. Soon as I said those words, alarms, it's whoa, 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 whoa. No, not allowed, no, not doing that. All they need is just instrumental on a CD. No, it's all about Battle of the Bands. And I was kind of like, that is ridiculous. It's like, you've locked off all those genres.
It's incredible when you think about a music which is 50 years, well, actually, 1978, we'd probably say, coming up for 50 years old, and yet people are still scared of it, and they're still scared of it being performance. Because one thing that hip-hop does do is it does keep appealing to that younger generation, because it's rebellious, and it ticks all the right boxes. And they do, as you say, they probably promote, they ride on that a little bit, some of these artists and these labels and stuff like that. As you said, it's down to the perception, which is why it's really nice with people like Dizzy Rascal and stuff like that. Quite light, to be quite honest, really, and There's a lot of that coming up. But yeah. But I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, from the back of that, he did offer me a gig. And I was like, I'm the same genre, but it was more I was the safe option because I was doing reggae, and reggae was more peaceful.
And
rather
also,
than,
you were an older person.
Exactly,
and they would have think you sort of know the rules.
Experience. But I bowed out. I said to myself, I was working for a software company up in Fareham at the time, and I said to myself, I could fund something. I could save up a couple of months and whatnot, and have a couple of £100 enough to just hire a PA. And just ask the council, give me a little bit of land and we'll do a little gig there, an urban gig for these youths, because they need the practice. Getting all the way over to Havant sometimes is a pain, you know. It's sort of like we wanted something here in Gosport. And I went to Jackie Charman, salute her.
Jackie is a lovely lady. Gosport hero, let's just be honest.
Definitely.
Shout out to Jackie.
Definitely. Round her access point, and we get up in there, and I'm in a suit and everything, and I do a full presentation to her. And I was like, look, what we want to do is we want to have a competition, get urban artists in, the opposite to what Battle in the Bands is. So no band music, we want strictly R&B singers, rappers like and whatnot. And can we have it around a carnival? Similar thing, there, as from a youth perspective, there is a lot of red tape and paperwork when you get involved with the youth. So similar thing, Jackie actually said, no, but we'll give you the opportunity if you want it. So we actually took that opportunity, and during the Round the Carnival, we were on Express FM's Float. Was actually taken, I don't know whether anybody will know this, but What is the Future for Kurt was a BBC Panorama documentary, and they're going through Round the Carnival at the time while I'm singing in the background. So I'd done a little cameo role. They called me up to see if they could use it. Yeah, that's it. So for about a split second. But from there, it was sort of like that. I've just been hit back by two of one. Not hit back. Jackie is amazing. I love her to bits. She's seriously such a good soul for Gosport. But to be hit back with that sort of like, as soon as you mention urban music, it's a no-go because everybody
So I would
expects
suggest
that.
that even now, and that would have been 10 years ago because Round the Carnival is coming back, but that was at least 10 years ago. And the attitude, and we have to finish on this particular bit of the subject, but I would say what we're getting is that the hip hop has a lot to do still to sort of not save its reputation, but to promote its reputation a little bit more positively. Yeah. There was a little bit of moment in the 90s with bits like the Fugees and Arrested Development where it was getting all lovely, and then it went a bit weird again. On the back of that, we got one last thing to do, which is, what are you up to now?
Well, if we go through off the back end of that, I did slowly drift away from music fusion. I had kids and whatnot. Other things got in the way. So drifted out of that and went into a reggae sound system. So left, so to say, the hip-hop scene and thought, reggae's my love, let's do that. So was in that scene and was looking around. Back in them days, it was MSN Messenger. Looking around and... I've noticed that there's a reggae producer based in Portsmouth, and I've contacted him saying, hi, yeah, sort of like just meeting, I'm a reggae artist, la 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 la. Got talking to him and he said, oh yeah, I'll have to invite you over or something and this, that and the other. Didn't know who he was, just thought he was a random guy and whatnot, and then all of a sudden went quiet. So years went by, and what actually happened was the Wailers were brought into the Pyramid Centre, 2004 it was.
As in Bob Marley and the Wailers. So that
the exact band.
Carry on.
So I'm there. Bob Marley and the Wailers are my love. My top number one, as I say, when I was 15, all my bedroom was covered in Bob Marley posters. So I've contacted the promoter and I've said, look, this is going to sound really, really weird, mate, but I love the Wailers. I can't believe they're here. I'm going to get myself a ticket. Don't worry about that. But give me some flyers because I know that Gosport is a massive reggae scene. A lot of people like reggae over here. And what I'll do is I'll go from the ferry. If I can meet you at the ferry, give me a box of it. And I'll walk from the ferry down to Bridge Mary and go through every single pub along the way and ask if they can have flyers put in. Done exactly that. Spent all day literally going to every single main pub on the route. So dropped off all the flyers. Everyone was happy to have it. Big up all Gosport pubs because they literally all of them said yes. As soon as you know it's the Wailers, it's immediate yes. So handed that all out and then told him, look, haven't ditched them or anything, mate. They're all in literally every pub. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, thanks for doing that. Let me offer you something. You get to meet them during the day, on the daytime, and then I'll give you backstage passes. Brilliant. Bring a mate as well, he says. So we goes to the pyramids while they're sound checking and they're doing meet and greets with a lot of people. And we just got nothing to do all day long. I've took a day off work. I think it was on a Thursday or something like that. So I've took a day off. We're literally there chilling, and all of them have gone back to the hotel and whatnot, and ended up with Drummy Zeb, bless him, amazing drummer. He was the drummer for the Wailers at the time, and he was doing like funk hip-hop beats on the thing, knowing that me and my mate have stood there.
I know exactly what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and literally he come off stage, we were giving him a round of applause. He was that good.
You go like that. Here, have a microphone.
Well, no. It didn't get to that. Put it this way. Skip that bit. Skip that bit, and he invited us backstage. So we're backstage, and this is well before they've even come back to do the gig. So we're sat there, we're chilling, having a laugh with them, and then all of a sudden they all start coming back in. So you've got the likes of Aston Family Man Barrett, literally the backbone, Bob Marley's best mate. You've got the likes of Junior Marvin, the guy who plays the guitar on most of the main Legend tracks. They're all walking back in, and then this white guy comes in, and he goes, "Who's you?" straight away. And I goes, "Oh," and the drummer stepped in. "Don't worry about them. I brought them back," sort of like thing. And too right, he was the tour manager at the time. So he goes, "What's your name again?" I goes, "Oh, my name's Lee, or people know me as Gleem." He goes, "Say that again." I goes, "Gleem." He goes, "Wait there a minute. I spoke to you about 5 years ago over MSN."
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, that was me. He goes, "I'm so sorry for not getting back to you, mate. I've been touring the world with the Wailers." So I was like, whoa, okay, that's a bit of a fringy one. So either way, exchanged details and whatnot. They went on their merry way, touring the whole of the world again. And well, it was Europe mainly. And I literally was on MSN to him, just saying, "Whereabouts are you, mate?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just getting ready to go out to Italy." And I goes, "Oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall on the tour bus, sort of like listen to what you all get up to, see if you sing and
this
practice."
This is like Almost
and this, that,
Famous.
That's it. Exactly that. But he goes, "Be right back." And I thought, oh, he's just going toilet, something like that. 2 seconds later, he goes, "If you can get a flight out there, I've just booked 5-star hotels in 3 places, Milan, Venice and Roberto, and you're welcome to come along and be that fly on the wall." So I was like, right, let me be that fly.
Now, I didn't know this about you, and I've known you a while, but you never told me this one. This
well,
is
that's
brilliant.
it. It's the tour stories. So literally Mum finds a dirt cheap flight, 28 quid over to Milan. Gets a flight over to Milan, exactly that, links up with him at the Milan gig, literally tours the 3 dates.
This is proper Almost Famous.
Exactly that.
You've seen the film, haven't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
you are that little journalist.
That's it.
So we have to speed things up a little bit here. We're running. So just in terms of your connection with the Wailers now, what is it you're doing? What is it you've been doing and are about to do, etc.?
Well, that flourished, and as we've mentioned before, I've got technical abilities, let's say, in coding as well as design, marketing. I've done 20 years in marketing, and kind of like wrapped all of that in. And to thank the Wailers, I was trying to offer my services as much as possible. Obviously, they've got other people involved all around the world, so there's limited opportunity, but managed to get into designing their backstage passes. Myself and Dharma77, Luke Storkey, if anybody wants to look him up, designed it was like a stock NASCAR type thing, and the Wailers have all ridden around in it, and they won a competition over in the States or something. Was going to do a website for them, but then they got a contractor over in the States to do it for them. Obviously, they're based over there, or majority is based over. So yeah, just literally got together with them, done the album, released the album, and then got an amazing opportunity with Gary Nestor Pine, who is, people will know him from his hit called Love Generation. We the Love Generation. And he is good friends with Christian, my producer, and literally got on a call one day and said, "Look, Gleem has got this little thing, do you mind getting on it?" And he got on it. And put it this way, it was a blessing for him to get on it. It was right about lockdown time. So during that was my last release that I've actually released, and I'm planning on releasing all of my hip-hop stuff, which was unreleased, in a new album. I'm aiming for 2027. So that's what's coming up.
And that'll be on Gleem Music.
Yes, gleemmusic.co.uk.
Gleemmusic.co.uk.
That's it. But in a sense, what I'm doing right now is I've got a business, literally designing websites of a musical nature. I do a few friends, which are like builders, plasterers and whatnot. But I seem to be, I don't know, I seem to be trying to give back something that I've never taken before. But I see artists, for example, DJ AG. People might have seen him across multiple platforms. He literally stands out in the middle of King's Cross or something. He's had the likes of Will Smith, Skepta, all the big artists on there. But he'll be in the middle of the street and he'll be playing out songs and bringing through new artists. Now, I noticed that he had a fair to middling website. So I thought, wait there, he should be capturing people's details here. Let me design him a new one. So I did exactly that, designed it. Normally I'd be charging around about £1,000 for each of these websites, but designed it in for free, said, yeah, mate, I can see you're making waves and you haven't got the proper thing in. Here's your website, all the emails come to you and this, that and the other. So started doing that and then started, I don't know, I think it was more when you've got some money available for a domain name, yeah, you look it up, see whether that artist has got a website. So, for example, I've done this for Tenchu, battle rapper, Genesis Elijah, .r.
So essentially there's a little bit of a sideline here where you are designing websites for artists, up-and-coming artists, and quite famous, fairly, let's call them in the middle of the...
Mid-tier, yeah.
And just picking up the domain names, sorting out the website. It's a weird thing, isn't it? It's like a bit Robin Hoody, isn't it?
It's a bit from outsider looking in. It could mean, if anybody watched a social media person called Bouncer's been an artist manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's always saying protect your IP. And from an outsider looking in, it may look like I'm trying to steal their IP, but it's the exact opposite.
It's the Robin Hood approach. You're trying to help them.
It's exactly that. It's more if they say, I've approached them all and said, look, if you don't like it, I'll take it down within minutes. You know what I mean? I'm not one for doing that.
No, I think
it's the domain and whatnot.
It's good commercial news, and you're not actually doing anything. You're just saving them. They didn't think about it.
Well, they're not techie.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're not techie, and I know they're not techie, and because they're consistently having gigs. I would say I've been asked this question. I think it's a very, very interesting one. But do you have to have a website nowadays, or can you just handle everything from social media?
Needs to be a presence, definitely. I think that's something you should come back and we can do a little. What would be nice is if anyone's got any questions like that as well. In all seriousness, the amount of young musicians and up and coming musicians, people like that, who have questions that they need to answer, but more than happy. There's plenty of people in Gosport, particularly, who can answer these questions. So if you fancy doing that, that's great. So now, if you'd like to hear the stories of other musicians around Gosport, and you've got someone you might want to recommend, we've all got a story. I've done a lot of research on Gosport in terms of the music in Gosport, and there's loads of names, shall we say, and people who've done really well in venues and things. So, I mean, if there's people around that you'd like to come in here and we'll have an interview with them and we'll chat about their experiences and their thoughts and opinions about the music industry today, what's in the past, anything like that, put it in the comments, right? Who do you want to have a chat? Us to have a chat with? We'd love to know. You know, you might find out your uncle was in a band in the 70s or something like that, and they've got a story and they've toured and stuff like that. So we'd like to do that. But anyway, Gleem, thank you very much for your time. If you want to find anything else about Gleem in terms of his music, it's gleemmusic.co. And if you want to ask Gleem anything, stick it in the comments, and I'm sure he'll get back to you. But it was really, as I say, we've known each other for a while, but it's just really cool to sit down and have a chat like this. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me here. Big up, Nick. Big up you.
Absolute
Charlie.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
And yep, everyone, make sure you subscribe, share it around, and make sure you pop in that comments who you want to see in that next spotlight. I've got a good few people in mind, but I'm going to say it off cam. Just in case other people beat me up.